University. Once again, I welcome each one of you. This great university is an amalgamation of learning from the think tankers and imbibing that learning to the youngest generation for making this country a better country. We have joined by two eminent personalities from the area of finance, Mr. Vishal Dixit, MD, India, Cape Gemini Financial Services, and Mr. Devin Dupati, Head of Solutions for India, Cape Gemini Financial Services, and our own Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh Sir, who is an inspiration to all of us here at Amity, an expert in international business negotiation and strategy, and a pioneer who has initiated to start at this turbulence time the enriched learning, amalgamating academia and industry. Besides that, we need to also integrate and learn that economic turndowns are not always all bad news for businesses. Downtrodden economies can lead to great innovation. Existing companies must find new ways to strive and thrive, launching products that might not have fit in better moments and getting creative about stretching funds. Our discussion today is also on the same track, how to prepare your business for any crisis. There's always an opportunity with crisis, just as it forces an individual to look inside himself, it forces a company to re-examine its policies and practices. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly take you to profile of Mr. Vishal Dixit. Mr. Vishal is Managing Director for India, Cape Gemini Financial Services, and is responsible for building businesses relationship in India's BFSI industry. He is based out of Mumbai. Vishal is an MBA from FMS Delhi. He is responsible for developing the company's business in India and delivering projects in banking and insurance industry. He has over 18 years of professional experience in IT services, sales for BFSI industry in APAC, Europe and Middle East region, of which he is working in India for around 10 years. He is actively involved in arranging and conducting CSO level interviews for various Cape Gemini World's reports in retail banking, insurance, wealth, and consulting areas. A very renowned name as a practitioner in the area of finance. Another legend is Mr. Devin Dupati from the same organization. Mr. Devin leads BFSI sector solutions for Cape Gemini in India. In this role, he is responsible for identifying and positioning innovative and competitive offerings. Engineering graduate from MNIT, over 20 years of banking and technology experience with leading banks and financial solutions. He is responsible for market alignment, go-to-market strategy, and alliances for India marketing. Designed large transformation and IT outsourcing programs, cost takeout with delivery organizational strategy, and anchor product management leader who has provided solutions to banking software product for their customer leading services. Besides that, I would also welcome Dr. Pranay Verma, who is a panelist with me here, Mr. Anuj, and Chavi for her initiative for bringing these laurels here at Amity Forum. Now I take the honor to welcome our Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh Sir, who is not only a Group Vice Chancellor for the whole universities across Amity, but also a guru, a teacher, a friend, and a true motivator. Over to you, sir.
Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Thank you, Professor Kavita, and what a pleasure to welcome Mr. Dixit and Mr. Tripathi on behalf of the entire Amity fraternity, on behalf of our founder, on behalf of our chancellor, on behalf of our all deans, vice presidents, faculty members, research scholars and students. We extend a very warm welcome to you. Before coming here, we had sent a questionnaire to quite a senior people of ours who are into the area of finance and who are doing research on this a particular topic. And as I was discussing with Mr. Dixit and Mr. Tripathi, we have got more than 100 questions So I think the maximum number of questions we have got is for this webinar. So thank you so very much for coming. And I'm sure that based a very prestigious webinar, which we have started to educate not only our students, but also to give insight to our faculty members and to the industry that what the captains of the industry are thinking. So we have been able to invite some of the premier industry leaders and the professionals from India and from abroad who have been able to speak to the students and to the faculty. But I think that this is a very timely topic, and most of the questions which we have got, they are from the worried business people, they are from our alumni, they are from the students and researchers, and all of them, I think the one question which is coming time and again is that how they should be able to now re-engineer their businesses. Most of the questions revolve around that the capex model has gone for a fix. They are not able to now see that how soon they will be able to again come on the track. There are questions on the stock markets also. Some very enthusiastic students who are doing research on debt and equity, they are asking questions that what is happening? That 1,800 market is again back to 10,500. Why it is happening? When US is reporting so many deaths, when India is reporting so many cases, market is going high. So is it a time to go towards debt, or we should concentrate on equity? Then there are questions from Singapore and from US that what should be our strategy at this point of time? Do you think that can we survive or can we expand also? Right. So
interesting. Yeah.
So one of the very dynamic entrepreneur girl who is now in New York. She just started up a business last year. She was doing very well. But then now she's saying that, what should I do? Do you think that, should I still think on expanding my business? Or do you think that my concentration is on survival? So on capex models, on debt, on equity, on how to re-engineer businesses, everyone is looking to Capgemini. And we are so privileged that we have got you two as leaders of the industry. So what has been your experience? Over to you. And with your permission, we are also recording it and it will be archived.
Of course. Thank you so much, sir. And indeed, it's our privilege, both Devin and myself, that we have been invited on this platform. Very valid topic, as you rightly said, and most of the questions, invariably within industry, within our friend circles, we keep talking, we keep bouncing ideas with each other. You rightly said there is an impact. There is an impact. Personally, I drive India business, right? So I can see the impact. How we are struggling, how we are managing, how we are actually replanning and reshaping our own business, right? So as we go with the flow, I'm pretty sure a couple of them would be answered between myself and Devin. But still, if there are any questions, of course, we'll park some time where we can have a couple of questions we can take, chosen one. And still there are questions. I understand it's more than 100%, like quite overwhelming response. So thanks for it. And subsequently, after the session, maybe we can take a couple of more questions and send it across back to you, sir. So great. So I'll just start with your permission. And I'll start with my personal experience so that probably I'll be able to define and closely align with the topic, right? Which is the crisis and how we manage in business parallels per se. Okay, so just to explain, my wife is a trained Bharatanatyam dancer, and our firstborn, my daughter, she is 14 years now, has spent about 10 years training herself in Bharatanatyam. She completed her Visharat. I promised her that I'm going to give her a big stage for Arangetram, which is nothing but her first stage performance, right? So for which actually she has practiced countless hours, numerous training sessions. There are food schedules being managed. My wife had sleepless nights, managing her schedule, her physical stress or her studies, the school and everything putting together, right? Invitations were printed, dispatched, photo shoot done, auditorium booked, relatives ticket booked, all preparation done as we were closing the date of the event. And why I'm telling this, you'll immediately get to know the moment I'll tell you the date of the event. It was 15th of March 2020. Hopefully you can resonate what I'm talking about, right? That's the start of this pandemic, COVID-19, right? The same day in Mumbai, section 144 was imposed. So it's like by around 4 or 4:30, section 144 was imposed where you cannot have the gathering. And we had this event on 15th March morning 10:30 to 1:30, right? So it's completely taken us by surprise. And I knew one thing from the start, that I need to make this event successful to keep up with the promise I made to my daughter. I know what has gone into preparation, that zeal, that emotion, almost that enthusiasm, right, with which she has been preparing from last 6 months. It's just like very important even to all of us. So how can I let it fail, right? So I took charge of that particular situation, and last 2 to 3 days, I completely replanned every activity we were planning in the current scenario, what I was facing then. So basically taking care of the guest safety, flushed extra funds, customized promotions to social media, created new teasers with the marketing team for the reminders, modified the entire event along with the event management company to take care of the social distancing and all those norms, sanitize the entire auditorium. And all I can tell you is at the end of it, after doing all that grueling effort, it was extremely successful event, ultimate event, very well received. Everyone praised Shreya, my daughter, her guru, and my wife actually couldn't even hold back their tears as soon as the event was over. Anuj, if you can just flip the slide, which I shared with you, if you don't mind. The last one.
Is it visible, sir?
No, it is not right now.
Yeah.
Last one.
You want the last slide?
Yes, precisely. So this is the morning of 15th of March. You can understand that the kind of glitter she was looking at, the kind of expectation she has got. I think I tried to fulfill every single thing from that particular aspect, right? The very reason I'm showing this particular thing to you so that you can understand it was a clear crisis situation for us as a family. Anuj, you can go to the slide number 2, which talks about the agenda. So the reason sharing this experience is to tell you that it was a crisis situation and few good decisions, impeccable planning, and excellent execution of the plan has taken care of that particular crisis. So a crisis is a crisis, irrespective of whether you are talking about a personal thing or a professional one. And a good leader will take ownership and will prove it that he is a good leader. He will prove by his actions. He will be the one who will give confidence to his organization, his team, his customer, right? He's the one who along with the team will pull everything out of the situation. So if you look at now professional world, nearly 51% of the organization admits to not have the crisis management playbook. So basically they are not prepared, right? That's the situation typically we are in. Okay, so I think this is the agenda which we plan to touch upon broadly, and any further questions, clarifications, we'll talk as we go. And anything you want to add between me and Devin, we will try to address that. Yeah. Anuj, you probably can remove the slides. We can now have a free flow session. Thank you.
Great.
So what is required and how we should be responding to the crisis, right? So what I say is crisis is basically a mindset. It has to be reframed it from crisis constraint to creative constraint. In simple word, every crisis by definition has constraints. So these constraints are actually the rules of the game. That the crisis begins. Within these rules, there are business opportunities that can be creatively unlocked. This is not the first and the last crisis that the world will see. But those who have witnessed and lived through a crisis or two They actually become experts at a very unique level. There's reason why wrinkles in the scars of the war are both considered a sign of wisdom. Experience and expertise is what we are talking about. So be grateful and look towards the crisis as a learning opportunity. What pattern we are getting in this is look at the past crisis. For example, 9/11, the Taj attack in November 2008, the recession in 2008 or 2009, hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts, earthquake, market crash, epidemic, plague, World War I, World War II. There are so many of examples we have lived through, our forefathers lived through. We have seen so much things. Look at the past crisis as a case study and see and look at what you can innovate and what comes out of it, right? So that's my thought process. And the best example, if you want, I can give is probably World War II. So in US, men were in Europe helping with the war. So women had to finally step out of their house, go to work. This altered the shape of US economy forever. Women entered the workplace, learned how to operate machinery, go on to the labs doing experiments, go into the farms, learning tools and technologies, operate farm equipments. And that's where this kick started women entrepreneurship in the US. It sustained the economy and also added job and the GDP post World War II, right? So you can understand one single event has what kind of repercussion on the overall scheme of thing. I will try to frame how can we use this entire process in the current crisis, right? And how as a leader, I'm going to respond to that particular crisis. Very important points, which maybe there are some 7 points I'm going to talk about step by step in the same order of importance. First is communication. So organizations, relationship, personal groups, professional groups, all thrive on communication. Now only in normal time, but during at the time of crisis. So communication, clarity, timely, goal-oriented become even more significant. Second point, equally important, is providing predictability. And this is a tough one, right? So employees or family member, we just talked about one situation, right? So it's like predicting, shipping, then replanning immediately on your foot always, right? So people, you have personal or professional relationship, which might be at complete loss. As a leader, it's your job to create a novel routine to replace old routine, such that people can still feel there is level of predictability and stability in the system. Because the moment you remove this predictability, your entire organization will start collapsing, right? Third point, deal with the trauma. So in an organization or a family or any large setup, there are always some people who are more vulnerable and worse hit than some other. So key to identify who they are. Another example here is in COVID-19, the children and elderly people, both are emotionally worst hit. Their social network is broken down, right? And if you understand, we are mostly busy with our routine, our work, going to office and every other thing, but the kids, right, they want to go and play. There are our elders, our mother, our father, our grandparents, they want to go to the garden. Now their entire ecosystem is collapsed for the time. So it's a traumatic situation for them. So that need to be dealt very well. Fourth one is weathering a downturn. Which in an organization, it's key to create exceptions that the new number in a downturn will look like downturn. But what are some of other metrics that can be used as upturn, which is employee education, employee engagement, employee health programs, right? Which potentially can be delivered on the new channels, what we are using right now, even now, Zoom, Duo, Meet Me, right? All this we can use. This way, your own leaders report card has not only numbers, but also all the activity you did to help keep the team motivated together or make them even better team. For example, again, I can give you my personal example, right? So I have 2 young kids, my mother 67 years and wife. In few days of this lockdown, we realized life is going to be very different. It's not going to be the same. So in this situation, I need to find out a way to keep my entire unit together, to keep them motivated. I immediately checked out a plan at personal level so that I can keep everyone busy, engaged, happy, right? So the day starts with yoga session, which is a family yoga. We all do it together for 1 hour. We have a coach who comes online, helps us doing that. So we start the day together on the physical activity. Then throughout the day, we are busy with our work, kids with their online studies. My mother has the books to read. Wife is to take care of every single person there, family, friends, and those kind of things. We have again reassemble during lunchtime because we all are at home. We again sit together, then again go back to the work. We have half an hour evening meditation, family meditation. Again, we sit together for half an hour, then dinner together, then half an hour board game where we play Ludo, chess or something like that, right? And weekend we use for cooking together. So somehow last 3 months, frankly, if I tell you, though it's tough one, but we were able to weather it quite well together, right? So that's what, from the personal experience, I can tell you, that's exactly is what is required while you are working for an organization. It's a much larger family for you. There are things you need to be sensitive about. There are people you need to take care of, right? And those are the guys who will never forget what kind of help you provided them. And those are the guys who are going to stand behind you and will ensure that someone like me or someone like someone in the leadership will always be seen at the high level. They will always get better support from the rest of the team member because they are setting the example, right? So that's my point number 4. And the 5th one is think like a futurist, right? So talking the time of the downturn crisis, we need to deliberate. We need to draw a vision of the future, right? As a crisis time, the rules of the game have vanished. There is nothing what is normal. That's what we call new normal. Everything has changed. We are now, instead of coming to Amity University and giving lecture, we all are assembling on Zoom, right? That itself is a change, is a new normal, right? So that rule of the game have vanished and set of new rule might be emerging. A leader is a futurist who can start looking at the changing landscape, new rules, and start creating new meaningful products, process, and solution, right? So you need to have or wearing that thinking cap all the time, right? Very important point here is, which is bit of diversion from what we are talking. And again, based on my example from my daughter's Arangetam, like anyone else, I was equally worried, right? In current scenario of COVID-19, my business, like it's a TCS Accenture, was in soup, right? My numbers were started going haywire. But as a leader, can I expose myself, my emotions to my organization, to my team? Frankly, as a leader, that's equally important to maintain that you actually don a calm composure when you talk to your team, when you sort of present the situation to the team and lead from the front so that they are at peace. They don't feel panic. They don't feel bit afraid or some sort of insecurity creeping into them. So you have to actually take care of those kind of situations to be a successful leader and ensure you drive your thought process, you drive your futuristic approach along with the team in the right direction so that when this downturn turns into upturn, you are right there. You are ready to launch yourself and your business, which you have been holding, is going to grow from there, right? So that's a very important thought from my side. Next is building resilient growth. They went at the start of the conversation, I think, touched upon it. So with all the 4 or 5 steps we just talked about, the goal is to build resiliency. And that's a learning point for us right now in the current scenario. Resiliency is the ability of system to withstand stretch. This build via experience of having gone through a tough time. Investing to build team that last, create hope, gratitude, act like a futurist, and also inviting your own team to brainstorm on the topic, right? You talk to them, the new rules, what's their thought process, because we need to align with the team together, right? It's just not you pushing your thoughts across, because there may be some beautiful thoughts from the other side which you may need to adopt, right? So that's what need to be done with the team. So long story short, so crisis management is a systematic approach that engages the whole organization, that involves reality check in terms of availability of and accessibility of technology, human resource, skills, and competencies. Timely decision execution of the plan, clear thinking led by strong leadership, depends on crisis management is proactive or reactive. You need to define that and how you're going to respond to that, and be aware of the consequence, right? So Devin, over to you for how we want to practically deploy the situation from a tools and technology perspective, and how can we have a futuristic outlook. Over to you, Devin.
Yeah, thanks, Vishal. So Vishal mentioned 2 points, and before that, I'd like to finish a bit early so that we can take more questions. I've just told that we have 100 plus questions, so we'll probably keep 20 minutes for that. 2 points I picked from Vishal's narration, that 51% don't have any crisis management plan, and we learn by experience. So I'll just give you a brief of how we have come to this shape. We started particularly with the advent of IT and proliferation of IT in most of our businesses, particularly financial services that we come from. 15-20 years back, we started with disaster recovery plans. So that means that you have one set of machines, and then you have another set of machines which will, in case of a disaster which is local, which is in a city, the whole thing will switch over to another city. That was good until some events happened, like earthquake and floods and all that. Then we figured out that, okay, there are machines in another city, but there are no people to run those. So the concept evolved to business continuity planning, that you have to not only have disaster recovery centers, but also look at continuity of business. Like a set of people who are trained, who are equally capable of picking up the threats from another city or another location. It could be within the country, outside the country. That was also good, but then what happens after you have managed to pass the disaster? There has to be a recovery also, business recovery plan, that you have to be able to recoup the losses that you make and get back on track after the disaster is over. So it evolved to business continuity planning, business recovery planning. Recently, we figured out that all this is not enough. You may get into a crisis which is not a couple of days, a couple of weeks. It could be probably like we are 12th week of crisis, and it's global. You cannot just go back to China or Europe or Ireland to manage your business. You have to face it, and you have to face it every day. So now the situation is such that you have to look at long-term sustainability of your plans, so that your business, whatever it is, and you react every day. There has to be vitality in the organization. Like in Capgemini, we managed to, most of the large IT companies, we managed to get back 95% of our business working from home in about a week's time, which is phenomenal. But it is not applicable to many of the businesses like heavy engineering, like manufacturing. There is no alternate. You have to have factories running. So there are certain businesses which will have more damage, certain businesses which will have less damage. And each of the businesses have to think for themselves to be able to come up with this crisis. We have a framework within Capgemini, and some of it is maybe difficult to understand. May not be contextual. That we have a way of handling crisis, and which helped us, and like us, many other companies, that we have resilience by design as one of our core philosophy. Which means that you have to have within the organization gene map, you have to have mechanism to track productivity and automation. You have to ensure that risk and controls are managed well. You have to ensure that there is focus on operational excellence, whether you're operating on model A or model B or whatever model it could be that could be forced on you. So at the top of the list is that you have to create a resilience coordinated business continuity plan, which reflects a new reality. And new reality is something which we will probably categorize in the category of known unknowns. You know that something is there out there, but we cannot name it. We don't know when it will come, how it will come, and what will be the impact on the business. Technology is one area which is helping a lot of industries. I'll probably cover a couple of trends in technology, which and how the businesses are reacting to that. Before you ask any questions, I think one thing is very clear, that each of the businesses have to think for their own. there is no cookie cutter formula. There is no formula that works for banks and will also work for a consumer durable or also work for e-commerce companies. Everyone has to think on their own. Everyone has to have their own plans. There has to be vitality in the organization. The organization has to be a thinking organization to be able to come up with crisis. There is no shortcut. There is nothing that you can read in a book and which will help you. So which are the areas that businesses typically focus in normal course? Businesses have to focus on customer service, and this is across businesses. Businesses have to focus on automation, which is moving your interactions to digital channel and making processes straight through. That means you don't have too many manual hops while you are completing any sales process or customer service process. You can pick examples of, for example, insurance or banking products that you buy online. And you have to have the first that we talked about, that you have to have enough technological backup to be able to run the organization. No matter what kind of crisis is there, you have to have enough technological backups in terms of hardware infrastructure, and which is critical for running day-to-day operations. If we look at a couple of key blocks, which are trends that will enable our way of tackling with the crises, I'll quickly probably spend a minute or two on each of these. Networking or 5G or whatever you call is better connectivity, which has helped us today also. We are able to work because the connectivities are better, means people are able to connect from home and work in a secure manner. So accelerating of 5G is one enabler that will help how businesses are going to react to crises in the coming future. Then there are virtual businesses like no contact business partnerships. Many of the businesses are thinking that even if there is no physical contact, how do you make a sale? And it's true for all kind of sales, small sales, big sales, and consulting and education, for example. The way you are reacting to this crisis. Couple of months back, it was unimaginable that, and the way all the educational institutions, right from primary, secondary, and universities like yourselves have reacted. They have been able to get back in a disrupted manner, but they have been able to get back and continue with life as usual. So this is one way that, and all these large IT companies, we used to have developer forums, like 200, 300 major forums were there in the world, where Apple, Adobe, IBM used to have digital developer conferences. Now, all of that they have reacted very quickly, and everything has gone online. Means the whole thing has shifted completely. There would be unexpected partnerships, both in terms of technology and in terms of doing business. People will find ways to react to situations that will come. The manner in which data will be collected by businesses and used. Data exchange kind of platform. And in general, to the extent possible, economy will move to contactless economy, that people will try to do things or conduct businesses or have profitable relationships without insisting on too much of person-to-person contacts. Couple of examples on each of these, like accelerating 5G. We all know that autonomous vehicles or driverless vehicles, the research is going on for quite some time. It has got accelerated in a large bit because what we have seen in Asia, that mining companies actually have started using driverless trucks for moving material. And there is also reaction by commerce companies like even like Nike and all. Nike has recently experimented with an application wherein you can just scan your foot and it will give you the right size. So even things where you need to have a touch and feel kind of thing, people are trying to find ways to come around that. Okay, virtual businesses and unexpected partnerships like Citibank Hong Kong has deployed industry first video selling insurance application, applications. So this completely on on a mobile platform. In India, Close Home, PNG is partnering with Swiggy. Now, these were unexpected partnerships. Procter & Gamble had nothing overlapping with Swiggy, but they have found a way in this crisis to ride on their network and deliver uh, essential items to people at their homes. Uh, Data exchanges. So I can take examples from financial services because that is where we spend most of our working time. DBS Bank in Singapore, they have launched a 30-day free trial for relief insurance, which is related to COVID-19, against prospects or customers providing certain information about their family status, about their health, about their demographics. And this is doing really well. Means kind of Singapore kind of demography, they have gathered about 100,000 applications in about 3 weeks. So these are some of the impacts. These are some of the changes that technology will bring. One thing that we have seen is that digital platform acceleration has come up very quickly. Digital platforms, like which was on the peripheral for many of the companies in financial services, has come to the core because people are looking at it as one way that you will not be able to have or afford or have useful sales force who will go door to door and sell your products. It has to be an engagement channel which is on mobile or web portal or things like that. While the new normal is not yet completely clear, people talk about new normal, but it is changing every day. We have started get going with whatever reality we have today, whatever we find new normal to be today. And technology leaders have stepped in as frontline force to get past this phase of disruption. Also, I think a couple of points, and then I'll hand over to Vishal for conclusion, and then we can take questions. We have also seen that this shifting of workforce to home is creating another crisis, which we are aware, but it's again in the category of known unknowns. This is about cyber attacks, because now people who have this profession, it's also a profession in certain part of world, they think that, okay, now there is a lot of connectivity, people are vulnerable, networks are vulnerable. So that is one area which will create probably another crisis. And we are watching news in the last couple of days that cyber attack is imminent because of the network patterns have changed. Means there are no secure ODCs or offshore development centers that we call in IT industry, wherein banks insist that the people who are working on their system has to be necessarily contained into a secure physical environment. That's not there. All banks, most of the banks have moved their workforce to home locations. So that's creating another type of risk to or a crisis, if we call, in the coming days. Co-location, which is, and there are other negatives also, like working from home is not all that good. Co-location is very good for agile way of working. People interact, people react to social situations. There is also something that we are trying in IT world is agile way of working. That means people have to be together. There's a set of ceremonies around agile, that all hands call and face-to-face meeting, and you design and build together. That is getting disrupted. So working from home is giving you some kind of respite, but also creating new set of crises or challenges or problems in the coming world. Then I think lastly, I'll touch upon one point and then hand it over to Vishal, is that when in crisis, people look around and see that who's the best equipped to fight a crisis. And then time and again, people find solace in art of war. Military is best equipped to fight a crisis because they have a certain way of dealing with things. They have certain way of managing crisis, and those crises are much more critical than other crises that we get, like floods and all that. A lot of leadership lessons are being taken from military, wherein businesses are learning that how to make best use of the human capital that they have. how to put best persons to the job that they can do in the best possible manner, and integrate and have a coordinated plan to come around in a crisis like this or any other crisis. So I think we have 20 minutes. Vishal, will you conclude and then we take questions?
Yes. So before we do Q&A, maybe quickly couple of points what Devin you just mentioned, and maybe sort of not as summarize, but there are very important and key things. And sir, I think this is one of the question which you also posted, that out of the 100, most of the questions are coming around the growth journey of the business, right? Which is while we are recovering from this crisis, how can we advise our clients for their return to growth journey, right? That's one key question. And the suggestion, and based on our experience so far, a couple of things which are very important if you really want to get back to the growth journey. And I'll call out three from top of my mind. One is speed, right? Speed is key for current social and economical headwind, what we are facing right now. Quickly reinvent, quickly implementation of the plan is what is required, right? Not everything as an organization you can do by yourself. So organization like us, for example, Capgemini, has a plethora of partner ecosystem across the globe, right? So we work with them and we support each other, right? So use that ecosystem very well for speedy and quick implementation of your plan. Point number one, right? We need to be creative, virtually empowered expert team we have, right? Which is cross-skilled, skilled. Because the talks right now from the organization will be to downsize, to cut down on the numbers and those kind of things. So how do you protect your team? It's again goes back to a bit of leadership as well, but you need to ensure that your team as well as the extended part of your organization is cross-skilled, right? Need not be just the guy. For example, I'll give you an example rather, is someone who is very good at data analytics. So train him on the other side of analytics, on big data lake, or try to go for some sort of data science training and those kind of things. So diversify them, right? And let them adopt this thing, which is my third point: adaptability. Adapt to the new normal in terms of skill, in terms of work, in terms of culture. Fourth, but very important point is better governance for better ROI, right? So quickly align with the overall scheme of things. We need to run extreme tight ship, right, in this kind of scenario. So these are the four clear call out from our side. Let me give you one more example from Capgemini. When this situation started, quickly we created a task force to create the operating model that mixes with the technical consulting, innovation, technology, and nearly 20,000 of Capgemini India employees have been engaged in virtual manner to cross-train them, right? So that they know many things, and wherever they find the best fitment, they should be able to sort of utilize themselves, right? So we did this, and as we are talking, nearly 90% of India workforce, they are working from home. It's a big number, and they are working with the clients, of course, right? Now, just putting my concluding remark from overall discussion and the pointers myself and Devin we just about. So we need to assess our risk. This is the very first step, which identifies potential crises that would disrupt your business functions and or their processes, right? Determine the business impact. What is the business impact because of this changing environment, this changing scenario? Is also a way to qualify the potential impact of a business disruption due to this crisis. Customer dissatisfaction or attrition, damage of reputation in public eye, lost or delayed sales, or income or increased expenses, right? This is going to get direct impact because of this current situation. Build a plan, and once you have determined an effective contingency for each potential crisis, build on a long-term plan which changes and creates an opportunity on an ongoing basis. And finally, business leaders who act now, communicate with customers and take a proactive approach to their changing markets will do much better as compared to those who has not planned for it. So this pretty much brings to the end of our conversation, sir, and we are open to the questions, and hopefully we will be able to answer as many as possible.
Wonderful, wonderful, Mr. Dikshit and Mr. Tripathi. It was such a great presentation. In your own humble way, you have put across your point, and you were speaking, and my phone was continuously getting messages and messages. So first of all, congratulations, Mr. Dikshit. They often say that the leaders, they have got a great heart. And whatever little knowledge I have on cross culture and on psychology, I can say that you are a great father. And of course, you are a great leader too. And this is a message which I'm sending to all youngsters and those who are working in our great team, that always try to balance yourself. When the things are very stressed up, don't pass your stress to your family. That is very, very important. And as Mr. Dikshit was saying, that he had a plan on 15th of March, Section 144 imposed, but he never gave up, and he organized a wonderful show for a daughter. So God bless her, and please convey our best wishes to Mrs. Dikshit also. We have got a Amity Youth Forum also. Maybe that sometime we will invite your very affectionate daughter. She can perform in front of 175,000 students. But I think coming back to the topic, I think the most important thing is that how you balance yourself and how you schedule your things. Amongst the stress, how you start your day, how good you are, because work will always be there, pressures will always be there. First question, which Mr. Dikshit and Mr. Tripathi, it's coming to us is that there's someone who has been our alumni, now an entrepreneur, but says that there's too much pressure. Right, so she's saying that there's too much pressure on me, and I don't know how to reduce my expenses. I need to pay my rent, which is not coming down. So every month I need to pay for my showroom. I need to pay for my manufacturing unit. Secondly, I need to pay salaries. Right? Only 20% of the people, they are operational. 80% are not at all working. My factory is closed. From last 4 months, we are not having sales which were expected. Our working capital requirements are very high. What do you suggest? Should I reduce my team, or should I keep them? And if I keep them, then how will I meet my operational needs? I don't want to get rid of my team, but what is the remedy in front of me?
Okay, so Devin, you want to go first?
Yeah,
it's a very tricky question, so I turn the table towards Devin right now.
Okay.
It's very common question, but there is no cookie cutter answer here. You have to look for yourself and see how things are going to look like in 3 months, 6 months and all that. There is some government support, of course, for MSME, but then things are not easy, but you're not alone. Like 60-70% of the businesses are having same problem, including ourselves, including the large ones. I'm not saying that it's only for small ones. We also have the same same pressure. We are not able to, there is pressure on cost containment. The growth is stuck. We are really managing to run the show. So, but are the answers easy and something that you can read from a book or newspaper and find? No, the answers are not easy. Okay, depends on how do you see your potential of your business. If you see this going to be under pressure for 6 months or 1 year, then the merit is in going slow, probably downsize, and there is no harm. There is nothing negative about downsizing if you don't see potential, because if you're going to have more negatives in 6 months, it's better to start containing that. Right.
Great, Devin. So quickly add on to what Devin just said, and the great humble submission, and as Devin also mentioned, that we are also going through the same motion, right? We are a larger organization, but that comes with a lot more larger pressure. We have a lot more reviews. We are grilled almost on daily basis, right, on the numbers. We were short on numbers a couple of months back, but one thing which I think I keep iterating throughout my discussion, and which I firmly believe, never give up, right? So the people talk about very recent example of Sushant Singh Rajput and a lot of those very live situations, right? It can be a weak moment in anyone's life. That's a different conversation anyways. But the biggest thing is the moment you, and that's what I heard from sir, maybe the gentleman who's on the other side is feeling a little low. And this is the time probably you need to gather yourself, ensure the very close group of yours, the good friends, your wife, your family need to come together, sit together with you, chalk out a plan, right? First of all, just cool yourself down, give yourself some space, right? And then come to the problem strategically and technically, put them down on pen to paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are my top 5 problem areas. And then, as Devin said, there are no cookie cutter answers. You will have to try one by one, attack them. Whether if you have financial stress, right, then you have to see that whether downsize. Then again, in technology world, probably we can calculate every single thing. There are tools available which will help you on the project planning properly. You see that where all you need to cut strategically, so that during this cut you are able to utilize that money which you are parking, right, from the cut down, and where you are going to use that particular pocket where you are seeing more business potential, and how you are going to leverage that portion for growing your business, right? Maybe you retain your top 20, top 30 for the time being, and ensure you give enough comfort to the team that once the situation comes to the normal shape, we will ensure that we will absorb you back. That can be one option. Option 2 can be you again do the calculation on the tool, that if you cut down some of your non-essentials, some of the salary to 50%, maybe just can you support yourself for some time, maybe 1 month, 2 months, and if situation comes to normal, maybe it's a different strategy then, right? So it's like every day you have to think, because you're running a business. Every month, every quarter, you have to analyze that where you stand. And this is not about this situation. I'm pretty sure, being in business, this is going to be a continuous process. So that's my short answer, sir.
And just to add one thing to what Vishal just mentioned, is that don't leave anything. And this is the advice that we can give talking to so many customers and partners. Don't leave anything. Don't assume that anything is cannot be questioned, be it rents or salaries or anything. You have to question everything. And the market is changing for everyone. The rents will come down because companies like IBM, if you go by newspaper reports, they're likely to surrender 50% of the real estate that they have. If some more companies join that means real estate prices are not going to be the same that as they are today. Rentals, use of electricity, salaries, question everything. Don't leave anything on the table that this is sacrosanct, because when things change, a lot of things change because one thing impacts another.
Thank you, Mr. Dikshit and Mr. Tripathi. And I think the message that our industry leaders have given is that never give up. This is a time not to give up, but to rethink. So I think that there are 4 steps which they have given. First of all, during these testing times, you should have an alternative plan. So you should plan. You should, first of all, sit very calmly in a very relaxed manner. Please list out your priorities. If there are 3 problems, as Mr. Dikshit was saying, that write it out, that these are my 3 problems. If rentals are something which is disturbing you, write that rentals are my problem. And then what is going to be the solution? Because simply saying that rentals are a problem, oh God, what should I do? And then shouting at people, it will not, the problems will not go. So you need to look at that, how to tackle those problems. So if rentals are high, they are high, but then you need to see that what are the alternatives which are available. For example, I was just reading ET yesterday, and we have seen that many of the 5 stars, they are offering their hotels at about 40% reduced prices. So maybe that can be one of the solutions to your office, but I don't know that what is the real solution. But simply saying that problems are there, problems will not go. You need to write those problems, and then you need to make alternative plan, but in a very composed manner. Number 2, human resources are most important resources. I think I was very impressed, Mr. Dikshit, when you said that how you are able to do that. And I think that never let them go if you feel that they can be utilized somewhere else. To me, whatever little experience I have in academics and in managing teams, and I was looking at that how Capgemini has also been able to do it. If you look at some of the greatest leaders in the world, they will look at the cross-sectional skills which people have. So maybe a person who was very good in administration was not being used in marketing. Can you use him in marketing? So don't give up, but rather reskill them. So if you feel that a person who was in administration, but who was earlier not performing, give him a chance to perform, but provided that he should also perform. So, but give him a fair chance first to perform that, well, you are in administration, but we feel that these are our marketing targets. Will you be able to contribute and coach him, reskill him? Chances are, 90% chances are that during the time of crisis, people learn. For example, I think a very good example was given of the World War II, where females in US came out and the America was created. So if you look at the history of United States of America, this was a country which was predominantly was ruled by the males. But then suddenly we saw that females came out and they became a part of the economic growth engine. So you don't know that there are people who were not at all contributing. And I personally feel that everyone has got a tremendous potential. So maybe that you can reskill, but for every employment, third thing I think that Mr. Tripathi, which you said, question everyone. Right? And don't be afraid if someone is asking a question, don't feel that he's your enemy. He's not enemy, but he is trying only to help you. So like we try to help our children, maybe in the organization, the great leaders question, but they want to help their teams. Because if you will not question, sometimes people don't move. So I think it's a great, these 3 points, if you take from our industry leaders, and start trying to re-engineer. But then still you will find that it may take 6 months to a year to come back on the path of growth. You should have that much stamina. So normally people who are very successful are those who remain invested, who have patience, who still communicate. And I think that when Mr. Dixit started, he gave a very important point that most important thing during the crisis is keep communicating. Don't isolate yourself. Right? So please keep on communicating. It's art. Try to give your idea. Try to take an idea. So maybe that these ideas, once the markets will be back on track, they will help you up. And history has shown that people who don't give up, keep on flowing, they have created huge business empires. So these are tough times, but surely things will improve. People will eat. People are eating, right? They are not stopping eating, right? We are breathing. We are still working on computer, right? Our children, they are still going and taking classes, right? So there is a need of education. There's a need of university. There's need of classrooms. There's need of computer. There's need of IT services. People are still using the banking services. So don't worry at all. I think that you should have an alternative plan. And still, if you have got any questions, please write to us. We can understand, because there's a huge email which has come from your side. If you have got some specific model which you want us to recommend, we will be able to do that. But thank you so much for asking this question. This is the second question, Mr. Dixit. This is from a very young student. And she's saying, I'm literally worried, sir, because I'm graduating this year. Right? And and I was thinking that I will be able to get a very good job. Maybe that my starting salary will be very high. And I was doing internship with one of the multinational companies and got a pre-placement offer. And they have told me now it may not be possible to take you this year. So I'm literally shaken. And do you think that I need to wait for another year? Should I take another course? But my parents are into problem. I'm into problem. My parents are somewhere in Punjab. They live there. I am in Delhi. I don't know how to meet my expenses. Your advice.
Okay, very good question. And this definitely, I'm pretty sure this is not her worry. Sir, I'm pretty sure this is most of the guys. And to her knowledge, I passed out in 2004, and 2000 another crisis, right? So we faced the situation. But in one of my conversation, if you remember, I said we have gone through 9/11. We have seen Taj attack. We have seen recession 2008 to 2009. There are situations like tornado, drought, earthquake, World War I, World War II. So this is not the first scenario for you, right? Check people who have been through this scenario. Uh, uh, they've never gave up, right? So there you have to find out some innovative way to, as I said, and I think this is very connected to just the previous question as well. Uh, Whether if you're seeing in this time challenging, first don't question yourself, because as I said, as a student, I have gone through this. So don't question yourself in terms of whether there's a problem with me. My fellow friends, they've got job, they've got training, but I am not able to get one. Frankly, this is not the time to judge yourself. Even in the working organization scenario, if someone is chucked out from the organization, cannot be question mark right now on his capability. It can be pure call, they want to close down the division, and the best of the IITians and the IIM guys can be thrown out. In the similar fashion, the other low profile jobs are being thrown out, right? So it's not a question mark on yourself. So just again, compose, gather yourself, sit and define and decide your plan, your strategy. So if you're from technology background, whether you want to reskill yourself, want to go for 1 or 2 year course so that you don't waste your time. Second is reach out to as many people as possible. Use a beautiful platform like LinkedIn and all. I think I got connected with Chavi on LinkedIn, right? So it's a great platform, and then from there to here. So use your that interpersonal skill, your reaching out to people. I think we again discussed just a while back that reach out to as many people as possible, speak to various people, and ensure that you try out, right? Don't waste your time. That's very important, right? So if you are not getting a job, for example, then ensure that you apply for some different set of course, so that you during this particular time increase your knowledge on something different, which is your interest area. Go for some finance related stuff. In IT, there are plethora of new activities happening on the AI, on the machine learning, on cognitive. There's so many things you can do, right? So try to sort of keep yourself motivated. Ensure that you think of something which is going to take your career to a different level. Maybe not now, 1 year down the line, right? There's nothing changing. I know in your situation, even if I am there, I will think exactly the same. But since I have gone through the same motion, right? And I'm sitting on the other side, you, this is exactly the narrative. So don't worry is my, again, humble suggestion to you. Sir, there's a limited one I can say, but yeah, I think there's nothing to worry. Situation will improve. Business have to come back to normal. There will be jobs, and from industry experience, I can tell you there are so many guys who will be checked out right now. But just take my words. Maybe in just 2-3 months down the line, they are sort of removing guys, but they're also creating vacuum. So the moment they will start seeing business, they want those people back, right? There is a huge requirement. If I predict correctly, going to be huge requirements down the line. Look at the people from Bihar and a lot of places who moved away from Mumbai because of this pandemic. Now, all the organizations who are in construction and other thing are flying chartered flights from Bihar to get those workers back to Mumbai, right? So that's the same situation is going to happen. Not to worry.
Thank you, Mr. Dikshit. And this is a message that just don't worry. And we all have seen tough times in our life. Keep flowing, because anything which keeps flowing surely gets its way. So my message to you
it's something to your profile.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that that is what Mr. Dikshit is again emphasizing, that try to build something into your profile. And very good example he has given, Miss Chavi, who works with us as a very young professional. She was doing something else, but then when this tough time started, we identified her and we said that why don't you start interacting with the top people in the industry? And believe me, some of our people who are at the director level, and they were feeling a bit shy that how they will be able to reach to the CEOs. And out of the 25 people who are the veterans and who are really extremely powerful, Chavi came out and started reaching to the people at the managing director level, at the CEO level, and look what she has brought. She has brought Mr. Dikshit, Mr. Tripathi, got connected on LinkedIn, spoken to them, and if you try, you will be successful. And now we want to give her another tough target, that why don't you start working on training and consulting. So my request to you would be, don't worry. If you get a good mentor, and I'm sure that you are a part of our family, you can always come to your professors. We will be more than happy to help you out. But don't feel strained, right? Don't feel stressed, right? So come to us, alternative plan, yourself, try to reach to the right people. It's maximum, it's going to take about not more than 2 months for you, when you will be again absorbed by someone. And then after 4 years, you will laugh at yourself that, well, this was the thing, I was having tough time and look where I am. I have seen hundreds of students, and I have mentored them, that when they are struggling, they find it very difficult. Even at our old times, when we did our MBA, first question we used to ask to our professor was that where I will be employed. So right from the very beginning, I think the question of placements comes up. But I have seen that those who have got a fire in themselves, and those who keep on working hard, trying to make out-of-box models, they at the end of the day are very, very successful. So just don't worry. Thank you very much. The third question is a bit related with finance. This is a question which says that what is happening in the stock markets? We see that businesses are coming down and stock markets are going high, whether it's NASDAQ or it's BSE Sensex. Why is it so when the profitability is coming down, when people are having negative ratios, when World Bank is giving not very great picture of the economy, we are getting that our stocks are going high? Is it something we should believe in, or is it a time that we should switch over to debt rather than investing in equity?
Great. I think Devin will be the right person, and hopefully we have this answer, sir, to be very frank, because both Devin himself and we are also partner in crime when it comes to shares and stock. At one point, we invested in Yes Bank, but when it was on 150, we said, okay, it's like from 350 to 150, right. And we invested hugely, and now it is at 25, right? Yes. So it's something no one can predict either up or down on a stock market. But yeah, in the current scenario, Devin, probably you want to just give your views on this one.
So this question is ideally to an astrologer or professional stock market advisors. But the short answer here would be that the market is fueled by liquidity, not by fundamentals. So there is a lot of money being pumped in American markets, and that part of that is passing route to our markets. Primarily liquidity-driven market. The recommendations that I believe today is that hold tight with cash. Don't make any quick decisions about going for a stock or debt. Wait for some time. Let things emerge. We are end of quarter 1 in Indian calendar. Wait for till July 15th or so. See how the companies have done in this quarter. That will give you some idea about where they are. Don't make any judgment in rush.
And one last point is, again, based on the experience.
Answer, then just the best.
So one last point is maybe, and that's what as after Yes Bank experience, what we have actually firmly decided that in the given time, which we don't know what is the last point when it's going to pick up, right? So no one is aware how the market is going to fare tomorrow. So we started focusing on blue chip stocks, right? Maybe we should not name it, but maybe something like TCS, SDFC, and those kind of things, right? So they start focusing there. And don't pump money at one go unless you are so sure and you know so much about that industry. Maybe go slow. Maybe you take SIP, maybe SCP, right? So I do invest through SCP on various stocks, right? Systematically, I buy, for example, 50 shares every month, TCS, right? Very costly shares, just systematically. So irrespective of market is going up, market is going down, I keep collecting it, right? Because I know over a period of 5 years how it's going to perform, right? So my My thought process is, I'm an investor who don't go to market every day. I invest for long term, right? So that's my strategy, that's my plan, and that's what I can advise.
Thank you. So that's the answer. Maybe that you can go for systematic planning. SAP is going to be a SIP if you take, that is going to help you up. But also look at the stocks very, very carefully. Maybe that you also need to see that how much they are increasing, and then do right calculations, but don't start investing in all in one go. This is the answer which industry experts have given. We have got a lot of questions, but maybe that we will send you these questions. And Mr. Dixit, we are also doing writing some research articles, which we will be sending you. And we are not going to spare both of you. We request you, if you can be part of our industry advisory board and keep on advising us. And once the things normalize, we would like to invite you to Amity campuses. It was such a privilege talking to you, and our entire academic community and students. They are really very happy. Thank you so much for your time. Once again, on behalf of our Chancellor, on behalf of our founder, on behalf of our all faculty members and 175,000 students, we want to thank you, and we look forward for continued interaction. Thank you, Mr. Dixit.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Great comparing by our comparers, Professor Kavita Thaplyal, Professor Verma, Anuj, and all those, and Chavi, great work you have done. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.